Now in our 6th year, this is GabNet, the Great American Broadcast Network. Talk like you've never heard it before.
Hello, everybody. This is Alex Bennett, and this is the Ramble. And we go from now until midnight from the East Coast of the United States of America. And here I am. Look at me. A lot of you saw me earlier because, oh man, I had my camera on air. I take these pills, what I call my nice pills, is pregabalin, and it makes me really loopy. And I do little mistakes like that. Either that or I'm just getting crappy now at this. I should really, I should also make sure that my my camera, okay, here is where it should be, like a little bit up, okay? Whoops. Wait a minute. There we go. Boom, 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 boom. Okay, on this. Okay. And over on this one, it should go up a little bit. Let me see here. No, I don't want that. I don't want that. I want that. There we go. And then I go up. Boom, 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 boom. And there we go. Now I think I'm where I want to be. Well, see that my head, oh well, I just will do what I got to do here. We'll just go down a little bit. There we go. Anyway, I'm trying, I come in here after a weekend and I have to adjust everything again, okay? But anyway, listen, let me see. Let me turn on some not air conditioning, but the fan up here so I can get a little air. And let me see here. Oh, yeah, you know what we do on this time each week is we talk to one particular old friend that is with us, and believe it or not, if I push the right button, there he is, ladies and gentlemen, Phil Meyer. Oh,
hey, how you doing, Chief?
More people are trying to enter the room. Let me get rid of that. Okay, all right. Stop calling, folks, because then it comes in the middle of this picture, and it like ruins the beauty that is Phil Meyer.
I know. Well, actually, doesn't it go over your picture, or does it go over mine?
No, it goes actually at the very top, but then I have to go click on it, and everybody sees the arrow. See, there's the arrow. Okay.
What are you saying, that they don't want to know how the salami is made?
Well, no, they interrupt the way the salami is made.
I got it.
Yeah.
All right. So, how you doing? It's another week.
I don't know. I took my nice pill last night. I took it for 4 nights in a row, and I took a walk today, and it was like I was slogging to do it. It like somehow ruins my, whatever. I don't know. Forget it. I don't want to talk about my health.
Yeah.
I'm just trotting my way towards death.
Aren't we all?
By the way, speaking of death, have you seen this show on? It's been on for quite a while on Netscape. Netscape. Yeah, right. Netscape.
Yeah, that's been quite a while.
Yeah. Nothing's been on Netscape for a long time. Anyway, no, Netflix, and it's the latest show by Ricky Gervais, and it's been on for 2 seasons, and we just caught up with it today.
No, I haven't seen it. What's it called?
It's called, God, I just forgot. Something Life.
That's not the Death Becomes You or one of those.
No. It's Afterlife. That's it.
Oh.
Afterlife. And it's maybe the best thing he's ever done. I mean,
really?
and I've had my doubts about him over the last couple of years.
Accent?
Huh?
The guy with the English accent?
That's him.
Okay.
Yeah.
I think the best thing he ever done was when he told off all those people at that awards ceremony, a bunch of elitists.
Yeah. Yeah.
That was the best thing he ever did.
Well, no, but no, the best thing he's done a lot of good stuff, but this thing is just sensational. I just really am amazed by it, to be honest with you. And,
Gervais.
Yeah.
Ricky. I'm looking for stuff to watch, and it's like Faye says to me, "Oh, we saw that. Oh, we saw that. We saw that." I said, "Is there anything we haven't seen?"
Well, wait a minute. Here's the thing. Here's the thing that happens with me. Excuse me, folks. I was just adjusting something here. The thing that bothers me with Marjorie is she's kind of losing her memory. Okay?
We all.
So she starts binge watching. She's always looking for something to binge watch.
Yeah.
She can't do a show unless it's bingeable. All right?
Yeah.
So she's looking for the next binge thing. So I'll come in and she'll be binge watching something. She's on the third episode or something. And I'll go, "What's that?" And she says, "Blah, blah, blah." And I said, "You've seen that already." And she said, "I have?"
Yeah, but I didn't see it in English.
But she she didn't remember seeing it.
Yeah.
And
That's quite common.
you think that's quite common? That people watch something and they...
I don't remember seeing anything. And Faye remembers everything. But I look at something and I'll say, "Oh, this has got 2 seasons. I don't think I want to watch 2 seasons. I just want one episode. I want one show, start to finish, and I'm good." But
well, you know what they're doing with a lot of shows now, and I'm happy for it because I have the attention span of a gnat. Okay, they're starting to do a lot of shows that are half hour long, even though the dramas or whatever, half hour long. And I like that. That's the right amount for binging. Because before you know it, you've gone through the whole season.
Is that because of no commercials or?
I don't know. It's just that, like, for instance, HBO has this thing called Made for Love, which I'm watching. And it's like 30 minutes an episode.
Yeah.
And it's very easy to take. You can get right through them and, that's what's great about this Ricky Gervais thing. The episodes are like 25 minutes long.
Well, Z Nation was like that. I noticed they were like 20.
No, Z Nation was 42 minutes every episode.
But it was so many episodes that.
Well, they went on for 5 years and they did about 22 episodes a year.
Yeah, well,
wait a minute, they did less than that. They were on Sci-Fi, so they did about 13.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh.
But, but still, they add up, and when they finally wind up somewhere where you can see them and binge them, well, there's a lot of time you got to spend with them.
Yeah, too much time.
And my feeling is life's too short,
Yeah.
I don't need you to monopolize what little time I have left.
Yeah.
But Marjorie sits there, just watches one binge show after another.
Well, when you're trapped inside, for instance, you're a New Yorker, so the weather isn't so good all year round. I mean, at least in California, for the most part, I'm able to walk around and do stuff year round.
Yeah.
Sometimes I have to wear a jacket, but for the most part, the world is my oyster. And in New York, I mean, if it's 4 degrees below zero and there's a blizzard out there, you don't want to go outside.
Right.
You're Nanook of the North.
Yeah, right. But I mean, we sit here and we binge stuff, and I don't mind binging something that's a half hour long. Great, but I do mind binging. Like, I can't get back in. I watched all of The Expanse, and each episode's about 50 minutes. And the new season came out. I haven't watched one episode of it. I just can't get into it. I just don't.
Burned out. You get burned out on these shows.
Yeah, you get burned out on them. But what I do like is, when they give you these shorter episodes and you can just chew on them really fast and get through them.
Yeah.
And by the way, most of these stories they tell can be told in 2 episodes, but they stretch them out into 6 or 8.
Yeah.
And you go,
unions.
No, it's just they want to monetize their investment. In other words, if you do a series and you've just gotten sets built and you've gotten costumes, and they cost you a certain amount of money, don't you want to amortize those across, say, 8 episodes rather than 2 episodes?
Yeah, well, they used to have mini series, and these miniseries were what, 8 episodes of something, and it was done.
Yeah.
I guess that's the new binge, or the old binge
Yeah. But
prior.
but usually, the other problem is that a lot of these series, they go into their second season, and they're just redoing what they did the first season. They have nothing new to say about that particular subject.
Yeah.
And so and I also find with a lot of shows here's what you do, folks. Watch the first 5 minutes, see where it is. Then go to the last 10 minutes, because in the middle, nothing happens. Nothing, absolutely nothing happens. They're all going here and going there and developing this, but then all of a sudden, the last 10 minutes, they throw in the kitchen sink.
Yeah, well,
Yeah.
Hey, we've got the kitchen sink. Looks like there's been a ton of shootings in the last week.
Where?
Was well, in Knoxville, Tennessee, there was some student in a high school. He was in the bathroom, and police go in. He shot the cop, and I guess the cop was a resource officer for the school. So what did he want? This guy to come out of the bathroom? He was taking too long of a crap. So there was a shooting.
Wait a minute, who got killed?
The student.
The student. Okay.
And the cop, the resource officer, was wounded. So that wasn't.
What was his resource? Death?
No, resource officer is like a school police. They call them resource officer.
Didn't we used to call them monitors? Monitors.
If you're a monitor, you got that white sash.
Yeah.
And it had a little, I think they had a little badge.
That was the
them.
closest thing that we had to a cop in the school.
Yeah.
Yeah.
The hall monitor. That's what it was.
The hall monitor.
So that was one interesting one. Then I guess there was a police officer. Was it yesterday or the day before? She thought she was using her taser, and it ended up being the gun. Now that's probably going to be like similar to that Meserly deal, which was the BART station in Oakland. Cop pulled his gun and shot the guy instead of his taser. Now, he went to jail for a number of years. So I don't know.
How often does that happen? I mean, you were a cop. I mean, is it that easy to mistake your gun for your taser?
Well, when I was a cop, the regular police didn't carry tasers. Only the sergeant did. So if you needed a taser, you had to bring out a sergeant or above, because they had them in their cars. Now they all have it. I don't,
Because from what I'm told is a gun is heavier than a taser, but a taser is colored like yellow.
Yeah, but this heavier stuff, when the adrenaline is pumping, I don't know that you can tell the difference. I think though that possibly there was, it's the reason that a lot of this stuff happens is mistakes. And I don't think this female cop wanted to shoot this kid. But what would happen if people didn't resist? Have you ever been pulled over by a cop?
Yeah, sure. I think everybody has.
Everybody has.
Yeah.
So if the cop pulls you over and says, "Let me see your license and registration," you give it to him. Do you say, do you resist? Do you start fighting back? If you have a warrant, do you fight the guy? You think you're going to win? If the guy's going to arrest you. I guess this kid had a warrant, and and it was
assuming that by fighting back you're going to get away with it is a pretty bad assumption.
Yeah, I think so.
Yeah.
But every time, not every time, but most of the time that we have these issues. Now, I've seen some shootings where the cop just shot the guy, and he was one guy was a legal firearms carrier. He had, and he just told the cop, "Hey, I happen to have a firearm," and then the cop shot him. This was a couple of years ago. Do you remember that one? His
Yeah,
girlfriend in the car?
vaguely. Here's
Yeah.
here's the thing. I feel in a way, and please, folks,
Yeah.
take this for what it's worth. I felt a little sorry for the woman who shot the kid. She was a 25-year-old veteran, and she shot the kid. And then you can hear her say she didn't know what she had done, and then all of a sudden she went, "Oh my God, I shot him."
Right. She was.
She was not. It was not like she did it because, hey, he's black and I want to kill him. Okay.
Right.
I mean, it was an accident on her part, but it was a deadly accident.
Even on Fox News, every time they say the kid's name, and I forgot his name, they say he was black. Is the media trying to divide the populace? Is there an effort by the media? And this is Fox News, which I like.
Well, for years, I had an argument about the police always when they were looking for somebody saying the suspect is black, blah 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 blah, or Negro in those days, and I just always that bothered me for some reason.
Me too. It feels as if they're trying to put a racial divide between races. And
I don't think this was a racially motivated incident.
No, not at all.
I don't think so.
This was a driver that had a warrant that did not want to submit to.
But if you tune into MSNBC, they're playing it like it was racially motivated.
Probably.
And I think that's wrong. I don't think that just because George Floyd was, I think, racially motivated. I don't think this was racially motivated. I think the person really felt that there was some kind of danger, pulled out what she believed to be was a taser, and you're supposedly taught as police, don't look at the gun, look at the person you're aiming it at.
Well, with a gun, you're taught to look at the front sight, and so you change your focus. What happens is when you have a threat that needs deadly force administered, so you draw your weapon, you're going to use deadly force, you switch, once you produce the weapon, you switch from focus on the individual to focus on your front sight, and then the individual, you can only focus on one thing at a time. So therefore, the person that you're covering is out of focus, and what's in focus is your front sight. And what you're doing is you're covering the intended target.
Let me put it this way: could you make that kind of mistake in a fast give and take situation?
Anybody can make a mistake. I think that there might be a training issue. This woman was on the force for 26 years, even though she looked pretty young. She was a 26-year veteran. So, and you're responsible as a police officer for every round. If you don't train to a level where you know where every round is going, you can end up hitting an innocent person, and therefore you don't get a pass. You go to jail.
Yeah.
And the same thing has happened with her. Now, when she deployed her weapon, she used the term taser, taser, taser. I don't know if that's part of the training, because when I was on, there were no tasers for street cops. So, but she said that 3 times and then shot. Now, Meserly says that he made that mistake when he shot the guy in the Oakland BART station. I think that it's lack of training. That if you don't build,
but I mean, is it a possible mistake?
Yes, it's a possible mistake.
And see, I don't believe her intention was to shoot and kill. I believe her intention was to tase, because once she shot, she went, "Oh my God, I shot him." That's the next thing you hear out of her, or shouting to somebody, "Hey, oh my God, I shot him." She didn't. I don't think she felt she was shooting somebody. She felt she was tasering somebody.
Yeah. Oh, absolutely. Yeah. She even announced the taser. 3 times.
I didn't hear that part of it, but
yeah, I heard it on the body cam. She said, "Taser, taser, taser." The chief of police released it. Now the thing is, people are getting fired left and right. Now, what city is that? It wasn't Minneapolis.
It's called New Brooklyn.
Yeah,
or
well,
Brooklyn Center or something like that.
yeah, something like that. But it's in Minnesota, right?
And it's not Brooklyn, folks.
Yeah, no, I'm from Brooklyn.
Yeah.
But I was born there. So anyway, the chief of police made some sort of statement, and I think he was fired. And the city manager said that the woman cop should get due process, and he was fired. They are so afraid.
Yeah,
I mean,
I wondered. Yeah, I understand why they might put her on leave. Okay.
Right.
Well, she resigned.
she resigned, but the
resigned.
chief of police and the city manager,
Were they fired?
yes.
That's a little overkill at this point, isn't it? Since we don't even
And
know
for
what
a
happened.
very benign statement. So I think because the chief of police, I believe, reacted to the protests, and there was tear gas and there were rubber bullets and things like that. And I think that's why he was fired.
Matt Crash writes here, it was racially motivated. Unconscious biases are a real thing.
Matt Crash is a 14-year-old pimple-faced kid that
Yeah,
thinks that.
I mean, that's so liberal of you. Unconscious biases are a real thing.
yeah.
I think all biases are conscious.
Yeah.
I don't think there's such a thing as an unconscious bias. I mean, there's a bias where you have a bias against somebody. You see somebody who's missing a couple of teeth on the street, and you make a certain judgment about that person,
You could
which
be
may
biased.
not be true, but
You could be biased about the color of somebody's shirt.
Exactly.
And that's not racist. It's just you
Yeah.
have bias. Everybody has bias. Things that they like, things that they don't like. I get it all the time.
Yeah.
So what happened with this shooting is a number of the chief of police used certain tactics to protect life and property because there were violent protests.
Yeah.
So he was gone. Then the next guy was the city manager, and he said, I want to see that the officer gets due process.
Yeah,
And
well,
now he's gone.
That's right.
And he was black.
Yeah.
What's happening is that you take somebody like Rashida Tlaib. She said, I believe it was yesterday, she said that all police should be disbanded. Now, have you ever had the need to call a cop?
No.
Had you ever seen something going on maybe that needed a police thing? Somebody hurt on the side of the road or
No.
an accident?
No.
Nothing. Yeah, well, I have. I mean, I'm not uncomfortable to do that. And if I see someone broken down or I see a drunk driver or something like that, I'll get on my phone and
See, I'm going to agree to her to a certain extent, and I don't know who this woman is you're talking about, but I'm going
Tlaib, she's a congresswoman.
to agree to her with her to a certain extent. And here's the extent to which I agree with her. That over the years, these police departments, as these police have been there so long, they're almost, they feel there's a certain camaraderie, there's a certain attitude, and the only way you're going to break that up is by disbanding these police departments and then bringing them back together again. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, I don't
In
think
other
so.
words, there's a cop mentality. And,
Yes, there
and,
is.
and that they all get with each other, and then they become protective of each other, and they get attitudes about what's in the outside world, outside that police car. And I think after many years, these police departments become insular and protective of themselves. And I think that by going in and just saying, we're firing everybody, and now line up and apply for the job,
Well,
and then re-educate whoever's coming in, I think you could create a better kind of police department.
the same thing happens on a sports team. That each member of that football team will look out for other members of the football team. If you went through the effort of disbanding, you're going to wind up with the exact same thing, education or not. I think it's just a.
Well, I think we have to.
futile
I'm going to
effort.
go about 5 minutes over here. This thing I've claimed for the longest time is the police are not there to protect the law; they're there to protect property. Basically, they're there to protect property. What's the first thing they immediately are called out to do in most cases? Protect property. I got something robbed from me, or somebody's on my property, or it's always they're not there to protect me. They're there to protect property. Since I don't own any property, they're not here to protect me.
The Second Amendment is there to protect you. That's why it's there. You have to protect yourself. If you're going to have, it might take 30
Second
seconds.
Amendment is to protect me. I don't feel that if I'm paying taxes and those taxes are going to pay for police departments, that I have to protect myself. I have the feeling that if I need them, I can call up the police and they will be here.
What do you think the average response is from a police department?
Well, it takes a while because they have to finish their donut and their coffee.
Right. Well, let's say the guy was 2 blocks from your apartment. Give him 3 minutes, 2 minutes to get from the traffic light that he stopped at, turn on his siren, get over to your building. How long does it take to get up 8 floors in that elevator?
It takes, there's an amount of time, but I'm just saying that.
So if a bad guy is going to do a home invasion, and you're a celebrity. There was a talk show host in Denver many years ago.
That was a politically motivated killing by a right-wing group.
Correct.
Okay.
So I mean, you're a friendly, nice guy. Nobody's looking to do harm to you. But what if you were that guy? What if you were sitting in your apartment
all the time that I've done talk shows, with the opinion that I have, like in Houston, Texas, okay, I have never been even, I think, basically threatened. And the one time that I was threatened, my friends came out and took me home and protected me, and that was the Hells Angels.
Right, exactly.
Yeah.
But what if they weren't around? They didn't hear it. This guy was a silent guy, and he was in your apartment. And,
but you're giving me a whole bunch of what ifs, and these are movies. These are what we make movies out of, Phil.
Yeah, okay.
You're giving me a bunch of what ifs. What if the guy was there and he was holding a gun to your head, and you didn't have a gun in the house, and nobody was coming?
The answer to this equation is they can't be there in time. And so if they can't be there in time, you have to be responsible for your own protection.
Well, I'll tell you, my whole life, I've never had anybody do that to me. I've never been in any kind of danger that would require the police to come over. And I certainly been the type that would have been subject to that sort of thing.
Sure.
The only time we ever had anything is once at WPLJ, somebody called in a bomb threat, and the police came because ABC said we got to call the police when something like that happens. I didn't even call the police. They got there. They started looking at everything and sneaking up and opening up trash cans and everything. And I'm going, what the fuck are you doing this for? People call all the time with bomb threats.
1973.
I don't care. Today, if what I've said, and I've said it a million times, with bomb threats. If they're going to call in a bomb threat, okay, then there's not going to be a bomb. Well, because if there's a bomb threat, that bomb's going to go off with you not expecting it to go off. All right?
Well, you also want to cause chaos. But, in 1973, you could hitchhike and feel pretty comfortable about doing it. You can't do it today. It's, what you think is dangerous then isn't anywhere near as dangerous as it is today.
Well, I think we overestimate the danger, but I mean, as I say, I've spent my whole life. It's like my ex-wife, Susan, who was born and raised in New York, okay? Never, ever got mugged. Never got mugged.
She'd rip heads off.
Wait a minute.
But she had a great personality.
No, wait a minute. She never, in the whole time she lived in New York, got mugged on the subway. She came back to New York from California to spend the weekend, and she got mugged.
Really?
Yes. Oh. But I never even came close to getting a mugging. Hey, listen, we've run out of time here because there are people waiting to come on, and they're probably all pissed at me for talking with you because
chat amongst themselves.
I think you're rather reasonable tonight, so
Well, here.
Yeah, well,
To the panel.
here.
All right. Hey, enjoy. Have a
Ladies
great
and gentlemen,
show.
there he goes. That's Phil Meyer, ladies and gentlemen. Thanks, Phil. See you next week. Okay? Bye-bye. That's Phil Meyer, and he's here. Okay? Because he's here. I better get to these other people, otherwise they're going to get very mad at me. Okay? So I've just told them said to admit all. And here we got who do we have here starting off? Okay, we've got Scott. Hello, Scott. How are you? And hello to Alan. How are you? Charlie
good.
Wallace and Trucker Steve. Now wait, let me ask you something for a second, Alan. Did you send me some dude wipes?
Yeah, because I want you to have them. You bring them up every couple weeks.
Well, the thing is, I thanked Scott, and he wrote back and said, "Well, I wish I had, but I didn't. It must have been Alan." And so I figured, well, that's the next logical suspect here.
Yes.
And so you
I wanted to write in on it a gift from me, so you would see that, but I hit the button to purchase it too quickly.
Oh, really? Oh, okay.
So I figured I'll see you Tuesday night, and I'll just tell you.
I think you can go back actually, and put in the card or whatever.
I don't know.
Yeah, if you want to send me stuff, I have nothing against you sending me stuff. In fact, I'll give you a long list of stuff I want and need. But if you do it, please include a card or a message so I know who it's from, so I can give you.
We figured this out.
Yeah. And hello to Charlie Wallace and Trucker Steve and Jeff Stein and the lovely and attractive John Larkin. Oh, wake up! Will you, Robert? Wake up!
Huh? What?
What are you dozing off for? Was something boring you?
No, not at all. Jesus Christ.
Well, I got a little tired myself of the what if, somebody tied you down with electrical wire and then it started sending volts of electricity into your testicles. Would you call the cops? What?
Since I was 3 fucking years old, has anybody worried me about a bad guy?
Yeah. Well, let's be honest about something though. Okay. That was then, this is now. When I was a kid, I always talk about the fact that my parents never gave me a lecture about watch out for people who are out to get you. Today, it's a different story. In fact, I always walked to school, bicycled to school. Today, no kid goes to school without his parent taking him there, and picking them up after school. It's a whole different world that way. So.
Violent crime has actually decreased.
Well, it probably has, but
25 years.
But I'm saying it's
a boogeyman.
But still, people are worried about their kids. Okay, Yes, Jeff. Jeff probably isn't coming on.
I like the color of your shirt. That's
really the blue.
The blue. Look.
Oh yeah, well I like the. Oh, I see.
Yours looks purple, Jeff.
Mine's kind of like mine's kind of an electric blue. I like it. It's part of this. It's part of that.
Yeah. Anybody that's not in blue, goodbye. No.
I know. But my real discussion is here. I want to talk to you about my friend. Okay, because he's got a kid who's I think he's about 33 years old. Or something like that. He works at Yale in the medical school. Okay, but he's a computer guy, and he fixes their computers there. Okay. Nice, smart kid. He went to college. Blah blah blah. All that stuff. He's a black kid. And he told me one day, he says, you know what? Every time I go home and I get in a car and I got to drive on 95, he says, I am terrified that I may not make it home. And one of the things is cops.
Oh, listen, Charlie's got his hand up. Charlie, you can, I don't.
Just saying, I agree with Jeff.
Yeah.
I understand totally.
But do you think this thing that happened, the latest thing that happened in Minnesota, which is now the "Let's Kill Black Guys" state, do you think that was racially motivated, or do you think that was actually a mistake?
Well, the one where the guy was shot in the back.
I'll go to you in a second, Robert. Yeah, and he wasn't in the back; it was in the front.
The young guy.
The young guy.
The one where the woman had the taser.
She thought it was a taser, and it was a gun instead.
I don't think she was. I think she really was trying to taser him. I don't think she was trying to shoot him.
Okay. Do you think it was racially motivated?
I'm not sure about why they stopped him. I haven't been able to see any reason why they stopped him.
Well, they said there were no tags on the car.
I'm
Well,
like,
that was the guy in
you gotta
Virginia, the officer, the army officer, that
Well,
they
this-
thought had no tags.
Well, wasn't the one in Minnesota no tags?
No.
I
No?
think so.
You think so? Well,
Washington,
I think they were just they were
is the
overdue.
guy-
isn't it amazing
He's a
we're sitting here
military
talking
guy.
about which black kid got
Yeah.
killed, where? I mean, that's what's so insane about all of this. Yes, Robert, you were going to say something.
Well, two things. Number one, racially motivated in the sense that they shot him because he was black. No.
Mm-hmm.
Actually, three things. Number two, her taser is on her non-dominant side purposely. So the fact that she confused the taser for the gun is dubious to me anyway, at best. Number three, when I first got out of college, I had a difficulty finding a teaching job because everybody was trying to stay out of the draft. And so I took a job as a civilian dispatcher for the New Jersey State Police. This could probably get me in all kinds of trouble, but they would routinely stop black motorists, period.
Mm-hmm.
And the reason I knew that is because they would call me up for a lookup, a DMV lookup.
Mm-hmm.
And it was amazing to me how many of their call-ins were either young, pretty girls or black male individuals.
Yeah.
And the talk in the shop was absolutely appalling with racism. It was just
I have no doubt. I have no doubt about that, Robert. That's the way things were, especially back then. I think now any cop who pulls over a black person better be careful about his behavior, because anything happens that goes wrong, and they're in a lot of trouble. And the worst place this could have happened was Minnesota. Especially with the Chauvin trial going on right now. I don't think she was that stupid to do something she thought was going to hurt somebody. But I understand, and we can't claim that, every black person who does something isn't guilty of it. Just like we can't say that every white person is innocent.
But the training, and I'm not a cop, but the training should involve de-escalation.
Well,
of
they
situations,
should,
and it often doesn't work that way.
I don't know how it comes to, let me pull out my gun and shoot you because I've got to subdue you. It just doesn't make any sense. That should be the very last thing you do, and you only do that when your life is in jeopardy.
Especially for something like overdue tags. I mean, if you're trying to get away because you're if you're a cop and you've got somebody and he's trying to get away all overdue tags, let him go. I mean, what do you got to pull out a fucking gun or a taser? Let the guy fucking go. Who cares?
Well, that me too. Like, let's say he gets away. So,
yeah.
I mean,
No,
it's
or
better
even-
that he got away and is
Even in
alive
San Francisco,
than he's
if you
lying
caught
there
him-
dead at your feet.
In San Francisco, if you caught him and he had a fucking ounce of heroin on him, they'd let him out anyway. So what the fuck,
Yeah. Yes, Alan.
So people don't run from the police for expired registration. He had a warrant. They admitted that. And he was trying to get away from the police to avoid being detained or arrested. I don't know what the warrant was for. But still, nobody runs from the police because they have expired registration.
Hold on. Alan, if you were the cops that pulled this guy over, your first move as a car patrol person is to call some station or other to give the tag of the individual, or the fact that you were lacking a tag, the milepost and the road that you were on, and if there were warrants suspected or if there was funny business that you thought might happen, you would immediately be issued a backup, or you would call and ask for a backup.
He was the backup.
The situation escalated long before any of that took place. You know, like it could have been handled differently. Yeah, the guy was wanted. Okay, that's fine. I had those situations, several of them. But the thing is, in doing the lookup on what it was that the cop was pulling over, I got the cop away from that vehicle and on a different radio band told them, I'm issuing you a backup because this individual is wanted. And thereby, they didn't have to go and confront one-on-one or two-on-one a situation that could turn into an escalated affair. You know, and it's just a matter of learning how to de-escalate things. No,
Times have changed, Robert. Since when you
I
were
honestly don't believe that, Alan. I'm sorry.
I'll give you an example. I never have been a highway patrol officer in California. They do not have time a lot of times when they're on a highway to get on the radio and say, I'm stopping this person in such and such a place, because I don't know, they have 6 frequencies for the whole state. So it gets really busy. So they stop somebody, they get out, they ask the guy for his license, registration, and proof of insurance in California. And if things are escalating, they back away and try and figure out, why is this guy escalating? I've stopped this guy for expired registration or expired tabs or whatever. And so you got to wonder, why is the guy escalating this when all you've done is stop him for a minor traffic infraction? Most people, 99% of the people, will give you the documents, you'll give them a ticket, they'll go about your way. This guy, it makes anybody suspicious if the guy tries to flee or is not complying for whatever reason. And you need to just, you can't walk away from it and say, the law in California, and I'm sure in most other states, says if you see a criminal act in progress, you can't turn around and walk away from it. So he has to take whatever, or he or she has to take whatever action the state requires or whatever to try and ascertain what's going on.
Well, let me bring up something here. When I was a kid and you were stopped by the highway patrol in California, they were the nicest people you could get stopped by. They were courteous, they were pleasant. You were almost, when they gave you a ticket for driving at 40 miles over the speed limit, you thanked them. You know, it was the demeanor that they had that was very positive, and they were always, for a long time, not any longer, held in great respect for the way they handled these things. I think the problem we have today is the way you are stopped and the attitude which the police have about you. And I think when they stop somebody like these people who live in a neighborhood where they're used to being, preyed upon literally by the police all these years, when they're stopped by a cop and he goes, okay, let's see your registration. You have expired tags, blah, blah, blah. And they just got this kind of offensive attitude. I think that causes the problems. I think that causes the reaction back, people refusing to do stuff. The people who are stopped don't feel that this cop is stopping them for their benefit because they want them to drive better. You know what I'm saying? Do you agree with me, Robert, that it's the attitude with which they stop
Yes.
people with?
You know, I know many cops. Alan, I'm sorry if any of this is going to insult you. I know many cops because I work for a municipality. And in my experience, what the problem is, or in part is, that cops see the dregs of society often.
Yeah.
And as a result, what happens is there turns out to be almost like a patina about them, like a hard edge about them. And the proof is that divorce rates among policemen are higher than the norm. Suicide rates are higher for policemen than the norm. And I think what happens is me, the law-abiding citizen, in their mind's eye, gets mixed up with all the dregs and the shit that they put up with all day long.
They can't distinguish
And I feel
between
for
the
them.
two.
It's hard for them to separate the two. They become jaded.
Well, Charlie has his hand up. And by the way, Charlie, you don't have to put your hand up. Just jump in, because Zoom does not hide your voice.
Well, okay. Well, anyway, I just have to disagree with Alan on one point. He says there's no reason for somebody who hadn't done anything wrong to run away. Tell that to Sandra Bland, who got pulled over because she didn't signal a lane change and wound up dead. We see that. I mean, there's too many. Look at the guy in Virginia. That was the most respectful, calm person in the world, and the cops are drawing guns and tasering the guy and spraying pepper spray all in his face. No, there are reasons why black people are actually scared for their lives, whether they've done anything wrong or not, when they get pulled over by a cop.
Listen, I've told this
story.
story. I've told this story before on this show about my experience in Miami with the cops, where somebody, where they stopped me going out of I left work, and as I was about a half a mile away from my work, they pulled me over. I was on one of these causeways in Miami, and they say, "Get out of your car." Okay, I get out of the car. They throw me up against the car, and they start checking me out and everything like that. And I'm going, "What's the problem?" They shut up, and they were very offensive. And then I said, "What's the problem?" He said, "The problem is that we got a report from somebody that you said something bad about the Miami police on your radio show."
Yeah.
I said,
You told
"No,
the
I
story
didn't."
before.
They said, "We don't believe you."
Right.
Right? Next thing I know, there's another cop car that shows up. Now, there are two cop cars, and this guy gets out. He's got a snarling German Shepherd. Right? Who every time I move is going, "Nyeh." And then a friend of mine sees what's happening, who's driving by, and he pulls in, and he says, "What's happening, officers?" And they said, "Get out of here now or you're going to get arrested." In other words, I didn't do anything. Okay? And this was how the police were handling what they, and they said, "Well, we heard you, but this person called and said you said something bad about the police." I said, "I haven't been here long enough to say something bad about the police. I've only been here a couple of weeks." And they finally agreed to let me go because they knew they couldn't hold me there. And they just said, "Oh, you don't have Florida plates. You got to get Florida plates." And I went, "Oh yeah, I'll get them tomorrow."
So I didn't have a problem with what Robert said or what Charlie said. What you said was not hurtful at all, Robert. You were pretty much on cue, and Charlie's pretty much on cue. When it comes to black people, the cops overwhelmingly hate them. I don't know why. I've never been a racist. I don't understand that. I stopped where I work. When I was doing this in the 80s and 90s, there were mainly Caucasians and Latinos, Mexicans, that came in here. We didn't have a opportunity to run across many black folks. But if I did, I treated them the same as I treat everybody and didn't look at skin color. I don't see skin color in my life right now. I see people. And
See, and we don't disbelieve you on that. Well, but we're saying
I know that there's a lot of cops out there that are racist. I get that, and I there's just, I don't know. I just there's a lot of things that you go to Miami. The cops probably didn't need another Jew in Miami, and that's why they really stopped you.
Trucker Steve, up in Canada where you live, you have the
RCMP.
the mounted
And
police.
in Ontario, we have the OPP. Ontario Provincial
Yeah.
Police.
But you have.
I like to call them the Ontario Party Poopers.
Yeah. But what's the attitude there? Do the cops have an attitude towards people of color?
They can, yeah. Sometimes, a lot of the times it's the natives, First Nations up here
Mm-hmm.
that get it the worst. I think.
Okay, so you're talking about the native Canadians, let's call them.
Yeah, Indians,
Yeah.
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 First Nations.
Yeah, and they're the ones that get it the hardest. Because
Yeah.
yeah.
We do have a fairly large black population in some of the big cities. As far as the police brutality, it's not as bad as the States. There's, from time to time, you hear stuff, but
What's the what's the equivalent of McDonald's up in Canada?
McDonald's.
well, we have McDonald's, we have Wendy's, we have
Come on,
but
John.
There's that.
there's
Tommy
one
Jones.
called Harvey's.
No, that one they're called. It's like a name, Tommy Jones. Or
Tim Horton.
Tim Horton.
Yeah.
He was a hockey player.
He was a hockey player. He played for the Rangers.
Tim Hortons is, I think, the biggest franchise in Canada, if I'm not
Yeah.
mistaken.
That's what John was referring to. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah,
You think so?
What does that have to do with what we're discussing here,
Got
John?
lost here,
I
John.
remember I was driving in Canada one time, and I got pulled over by a cop, and he said, "Where are you from?" And I go, "San Francisco." And he goes, "You drove all the way up here?" I go, "Yeah." And he goes, "Okay." And I go, there's Tim Hortons at every stop. So I said, "Where's the nearest Timmy Hortons?" Like a local,
Yeah, yeah.
Kinda-
Did you
so
say
that-
Timmy Hortons? Did you say Timmy Hortons like you just
Yeah.
said?
And,
like
and
as a
the,
local.
Yeah,
the
they must
cop
have.
probably passed up a black man to pull you over, John.
Yeah, right.
Well, I had California plates, so my car was
Yeah.
all. So I probably looked like a drug dealer or somebody smuggling drugs.
You still do.
Hey, since we're off topic, I'm only here tonight to claim my portion of the inheritance.
Oh, okay.
Oh.
Yeah, well, that's only if I drop dead tonight,
And by the way, I wasn't here last week, but you guys, just so that you don't think I was sitting on my ass doing nothing, once again, I was busy doing investigative reporting. I spent last week trying to figure out who fucked up. Was it Johnson or was it Johnson? And I now can report it was Johnson.
Yeah.
See, so I'm on the ball here.
Boy, I'll tell you, if there's a certain vaccine hesitancy, we have created it in spades this week.
Oh yeah.
With the Johnson and Johnson thing. I mean, to begin with, I'm suspicious of anything called Johnson and Johnson. I mean, they don't have a good record anyway. Their talcum powder, baby powder, was a problem, wasn't it?
Yeah.
Didn't
You
have.
can call
They're
me
one of the
Ray.
largest pharmaceuticals in the world, and I'll bet you when you get pills and the doctor says, "Take this antibiotic, Alex," you say, "I don't want Johnson and Johnson." He says, "It's the only one that'll cure you." You go, "Okay, I'll take it."
Yeah. But you've got this thing called COVID. You've got people who are. I hear these insane things about. I don't want to take it.
Right?
Why?
I know.
Well, I don't know. I hear it causes at least the Pfizer and the Moderna cause your changes in your DNA. Oh, thank you, Mr. Science, for telling us that,
So Dr. Fauci today said that this is overblown, that with Johnson & Johnson, that this was meant to be a memo to the medical community to let them know if they see these side effects and take it serious. And that's it. And they said that 4 people out of 20
No,
million
seven.
people.
Seven.
Oh, okay. 7 people. I stand
Out of
corrected.
7 million. 1 in a million. You have a 1 in a million
One in a
chance.
million.
Yeah, but most vaccines have a 1 in a million or 2 in 10 million, or I don't know what chance of killing you. I mean, it's unfortunate, but that's life, unfortunately.
Well, you got a bigger chance of dying if you don't get the fucking
Absolutely. Absolutely.
Plus, we haven't established that there's a correlation between the one thing and the other.
Yeah.
Nope,
They
not
may
yet.
have had the blood clots anyway.
Yeah.
Like they haven't proven that yet either.
Yeah. By the way, Scott, you can jump in anytime you want to.
Okay.
Yeah, I noticed you haven't said anything tonight, and I just want to know you're part of the party.
He's thinking about venereal diseases right now.
Well, I go back a little bit, but bias is a huge issue with my job because I train people. They're interviewing people with a sexually transmitted disease. They're making sure they get treatment. They go out and investigate and find their sex partners. In the 20-some years, you're going to be dealing with people that have a lifestyle that you may not agree with, people that you're not comfortable to be around, and we do a lot of bias training for that. And it is a difficult thing, and it is not easy. I firmly believe there is a subconscious bias, and that is a problem. I'm really tired of hearing people say, well, he didn't have tags, that's why he was pulled over. Well, no, he was a black man who didn't have tags.
But now you're in what business now? You do what exactly?
Work for the state health department.
Yeah.
I work in sexually transmitted diseases. I oversee partner services.
Which if I had to be in the infectious diseases department, that would have been one of my favorites.
Well, for 10 years I worked as an investigator, tracking people down and finding partners.
Now, wait a minute. I heard something once that people who did that for the city or the state or whatever, their lives were in bigger danger than a lot of other jobs.
Oh, of course.
Because people, when you question them about whether they had a venereal disease or not, if they had it, they might pull out a gun and shoot you.
Sure. I had coworkers that was in a drive-by shooting. Back in the 90s, there was a lot of syphilis that was linked to crack. So people exchange sex for drugs.
What type of crack?
There were people that were involved with the drugs, and I had a coworker that actually, a leader, was named back as a sex partner, and he went to interview him, and they went to a car, and all of a sudden the guy says, "Duck," and he's like, "What?" So they duck, and a dude shot up the porch.
Wow.
And if he was there interviewing him behind the porch outside, he would have got shot. But yeah, I mean, it's we go in some pretty dangerous places. And, sometimes
it's funny, but we have all these shows on television about police departments and about, investigative this and investigative that. And we don't have any show about people who go out and find people with syphilis.
No. It could be a drama or a comedy.
It could be a drama or a comedy.
STD clinic, and the stories I have are unbelievable.
Yeah.
And likewise, when I went out and stuff, I mean, there's just tons of stories that I have.
What state are you in, Scott?
Ohio.
Ohio. Okay.
Yeah.
So is Ohio the capital of venereal diseases?
Now we're getting close, but
I'm kidding.
There's a lot.
Probably California and New York.
Yeah, but they have more population.
Right.
Rate-wise, we're still up there. The syphilis right now is unbelievable. It is just unbelievable.
Is it really bad?
Yes. I mean, you're talking last year we had.
By the way, folks, if you just joined us, we're talking about syphilis now.
Yeah. Yeah, we had a couple thousand cases last year.
Wow.
And this is the worst I've seen it, and I've been doing this for 27 years.
Really?
Wow.
But there's a lot of reasons for it. I don't know if I should.
What are the reasons for it? I mean, it's interesting because Syphilis was something that we supposedly almost got rid of, or at least when it happened, we took care of it. We have ways of taking care of it. In fact, it went all the way back to a guy by the name of Dr. Ehrlich. In fact, one of my favorite movies ever is a movie with Edward G. Robinson called Dr. Ehrlich's Magic Bullet.
Right.
And he discovered the cure for syphilis. And they put him on trial because one of the people he cured died from the treatment. And finally, at the end, he won the trial by saying, there was one other death you haven't reported. And they said, what? He said, the death of syphilis. He said there were bound to be people who would die of the treatment, but they would have died anyway if they, if more people would have died if we hadn't come up with this treatment. But they pretty well wiped it out in our lifetime. People kept getting it, and they could just stamp it out, unless you didn't know you got it, because it was a silent disease, right? And 10 years later, suddenly you wake up and your leg isn't working.
Well, even in the early 2000s, there was a push
You like my description, huh, Robert?
to eliminate syphilis. Syphilis was at such a low rate that they were giving money for people that have programs that was called a syphilis elimination.
Mm-hmm.
And then it skyrocketed. And one of the reasons.
So why is it skyrocketing? Right?
Well, some of the reasons is because of HIV in a way.
Mm-hmm.
Has anyone ever heard of PrEP? PrEP is a pill that someone who is HIV negative can take that prevents them from getting HIV, which is a good thing.
But not venereal diseases.
Yes, exactly. So a lot of guys are like, I don't have to worry about HIV now.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm messing around and I'm getting syphilis. And gonorrhea too. Anal gonorrhea is pretty high too right now.
Oh, that sounds sexy. That ought to make the numbers go up,
that's a
Alex.
reality.
Hey, folks, this is really a ratings getter.
There we go.
Yeah.
And then also, if you're HIV positive and you're into care and you're taking the meds like you should be, you're essentially untransmittable. So once again, you can have sexual contact with people, not worry about condoms or any protection, but then you have STD risk.
Tune in tomorrow for a discussion on vaginal discharge here on the Ramble.
No, but it's, this is fascinating, though. This has suddenly become a problem again,
Yeah. I mean, syphilis starts with a sore that looks really painful, but it's not. And then it goes away after about 2 weeks.
Yep.
And then you think,
hang on a second.
fine.
And then it goes into latency.
Then about 4 weeks later, you'll get a rash on your hands, your hair falls out, and then that stays around for a little bit, and then that disappears. And then 15 years down the road, you can't see, and you have other issues, and it's untreated syphilis. So
because it goes into what's called, are you ready for this? I know this stuff. The tertiary stage.
Exactly.
And the tertiary stage is,
I'm impressed.
The tertiary stage, and I've lost my memory, and I can remember tertiary stage. The tertiary stage is very, they always called syphilis kind of the great imitator. Yeah. Because it imitated a lot of other things, but you didn't think you had anything, and then it went away, and then it just went into this tertiary stage, and as you say, 15 years later, you wake up one morning and you're blind.
Yeah.
Now, if anywhere during that period of time you get the treatment for it, which is just simply antibiotics of one sort or another, right?
Yeah, bicillin in the hip.
You're fine. What is it called? What?
It's bicillin in the hip, 2.4 million units.
Really?
It's a long needle and it hurts like hell.
I thought that would be Rocephin.
Well, you could take doxycycline also, but you got to take doxycycline, take 2 pills a day for either 14 or 28 days. You don't get a whole lot of compliance with that, so we prefer to shoot people up because it's only one shot and you're done. Unless you've had syphilis for a long time, you need 3.
Wow.
So who is on chat? Who is Alex Bennett's twin? He states, Paul Chung, how long have you had herpes?
It's been alleged Trump has syphilis.
Yeah, and then Paul wants to abolish the chat, according to Matt, the 14-year-old crash.
Mm-hmm.
And he says, I wonder why Alex is so sure it's racially motivated. Bullcrap, Alan. And then Paul says, You tell him, Alan.
And also, it's so easy to have anonymous sex right now.
And anonymous chat.
Oh yeah.
Oh yeah.
They have the GPS locating apps.
In fact, every woman I ever went out with me, they wanted anonymous sex.
I mean, if
They
you're
didn't want anybody else to know.
Yeah, if you're a horny guy and you're looking for someone, you can log on to an app. Grindr is one of the most popular ones. You could actually enter your information. A map will come out, and you can see people that are also looking for sex. And you look on the map, and there's a dude like 3 blocks down the road. And you click, and
I thought you were saying you could go there and there would be somebody on the map and it would say syphilis, gonorrhea, you know.
Oh yeah, those places don't like us.
Yeah.
They don't really give us too much access.
Grindr, huh?
Didn't COVID slow that down a little?
A little bit.
I mean, my next door neighbor won't come out of the house for the last 14 months.
Yeah, like I said, we're seeing a huge influx of stuff, but I think people were kind of bored, and I don't know, you know.
Yeah.
Not the first thing on my mind to go get syphilis.
but yeah, I don't know.
Well, I mean,
it's really interesting.
Yeah, well, I find that it all fascinating because these are things we thought he got rid of, that disappeared, you know. I mean, and they're still out there, and there's still a problem.
Yeah, but I've always wanted to write like a sitcom called Clinic about people that work in an STD clinic, because we did some crazy stuff.
Yeah, but you know,
you can show them doing the anal
but
probe.
the reason they do shows about hospitals is because every week there's a different disease.
Yeah.
In this case, it's going to be the same disease every week. You know.
Well, but if you focus on the patients, everyone has very unique stories.
Yeah.
I mean, that's the thing. It's the drama of it and so forth.
I didn't find any drama in it. I just found my penis dripped.
Yeah.
Yes.
You know, and I never came down, believe it or not, I never came down with gonorrhea, and I got it about maybe 4 or 5 times in my life, but that's fine. That means I was having a good time in the meantime. This was the only disease you actually get from doing something pleasurable, okay? But when I got it, it was always on a weekend. You know, when I couldn't get to a doctor.
Alex, just admit your ass was sore too.
No. But no, let's see. I mean, how many times did I get it? Maybe 3 times in my life, and it was always on a Saturday or a Sunday. Usually a Saturday because I had to wait till a Monday to get to a doctor.
Now here's one I didn't put on my list of questions, right? You know, did you get a dose?
Yeah, you get a dose of the clap. Actually, you know what I got that it mimics gonorrhea is what is it?
Hepatitis.
No, it's
a UTI.
UTI. Yeah. And you know, it mimics it, but it's not the same thing. It's not transmittable, if I'm not mistaken.
Usually.
Transmittable.
Yeah. Huh? It's transmittable to women, but not.
Wait,
I don't know.
UTI, urinary tract infection.
Yeah.
UTI, yeah.
Yeah.
Speaking of disease.
That's right.
He already gave his report. He said how many people died today.
He said it in side chat.
He said it in side chat? Is that where I saw? Well, let's then have Dr. Doom give us his report for tonight.
Okay, we had 917 deaths in America today.
Going down.
Bringing the total to 563,421.
No, 917. We had 57 of those in New York State. So we used to
going back up.
Well, it didn't go back up. It's been like 56 yesterday, 57 today, 46 a couple of days ago, 67 another day. But it doesn't seem to be moving. You know, the needle still seems to be pretty much in the same place.
Hey, you could be Ohio and have the clap. You know, I mean, Jesus.
There you go.
Yeah. Yeah.
You look like you're in your office. Those are all kinds of pamphlets on how to not get venereal disease
Oh,
on the wall.
Well, how many different types of venereal diseases are there? I mean, we know of syphilis and we know of gonorrhea. What else is there?
Well,
Chlamydia.
Is chlamydia part of that?
Gonorrhea, chlamydia is just as popular.
What did you say the other one that was just as popular?
Well, chlamydia,
Yeah.
gonorrhea, syphilis, herpes, but we don't keep track of herpes very much. We've seen some chancroid, which is kind of
Oh,
weird.
chancroid. That's great.
Yeah.
Yeah,
What the
I
hell?
thought he worked really well
Yeah,
with
really,
John.
what
He
is
worked
that?
really well with John Belushi.
Yeah. Yeah, those are kind of the major ones.
Chancroid. God, I haven't
I'm
heard
gonna
of
have to
that.
look that one up.
Well,
Yeah.
they call them chankers. And there happened to be a guy in New York who was the head of the teachers union called Albert Shanker. And I always thought that was rather funny.
Yeah.
The AFT.
And in fact, he's in Woody Allen's, what was the one where he dies and goes, is put in frozen and winds up in the future?
Lost in Space.
No.
Bananas? No, not bananas.
Oh God, I'm trying to remember the name of it. Anyway, see, that's where I am now. But one of the jokes in there is a joke about, the man tried to take over the world. His name was Albert Shanker. And everybody in the theater in New York would laugh, but out in California, they didn't even know it was a joke. So.
We just had a president that was like that.
Yeah. So anyway,
Keeper.
yeah. So we're, I mean, good work you're doing there, Scott. It's important, I didn't realize that it was still as much of a problem as it once was.
Yeah, it's pretty big. The whole country has it now.
Because when you think of a disease, this disease like gonorrhea, sometimes before there was a cure, would kill people, or they went around the rest of their lives having to kind of live in a special way in which guys would carry a what do you call it in the brim of their hat? A
Condom.
no.
Spermicide?
What do you call it? Oh God! See, I'm out of it. I shouldn't have taken that pill last night.
You stick to that.
It's a
story.
tube you put in your penis so you can pee. A catheter.
Catheter.
They would carry a catheter in the rim of their hat. So when they had to go to the bathroom, they would catheterize themselves. And am I right?
Well, yeah, scar tissue develops in the urethra and that's why it hurts to pee.
Yeah. And so
they literally are pushing past the scar tissue so they can urinate.
yeah.
Ow.
So they used to walk around with, before they cure this, they would.
Can we go back to baby powder?
Yeah, maybe. That was probably a better
when
subject.
I almost moved into a senior community. I did some research on it, and I found out that sexually transmitted diseases were running rampant in the senior community.
It's gotten older.
Because all us old folks get really randy.
Yeah, back when I first started, the cutoff age for doing partner services was 40. Now it's like 65.
Wow.
Seriously, because we used to see new infections like, if they're 40 and under, we'd follow up on them. If they're over 40, But yeah, now it's basically any age.
Wow.
Do
Whoopee.
you
Wow.
teach kids in high school, whatever,
Well,
what to do and what not to do?
I think everybody's a little put off here by the by
Sorry.
this discussion, which I find fascinating.
You asked me to talk.
Well, no,
Okay.
I think it's been very important and very interesting.
Absolutely.
But some people are going, ugh.
And me driving around looking for people is how I started listening to you. Seriously, because I had the radio on all the time.
Really?
And that's yes. Yeah.
Was this when I was
That's
in Sirius XM? Or
Yeah, I joined Sirius when Stern went over.
yeah.
And then I used to get pissed off because Stern still had commercials.
Yeah.
When
And
I
then it
think
would
of
always have
disease of the
commercials when I'm
crotch, I
driving
think
to
of
work.
Alex Bennett.
So I would switch to your show all the time and listen to it.
Oh,
'Cause
okay.
the show would repeat later.
Oh, good.
Yeah.
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 What did you say, Robert?
When I think of diseases of the crotch, I usually think Alex Bennett.
Yeah, well, I like to know I was the favorite of people on syphilis patrol.
Really? Wow, that.
But
I won't ask how people knew that. Okay.
But what I think is amazing is that in our time we've managed to eradicate some diseases totally. I thought that was one of them, but I guess it wasn't. Polio completely disappeared from planet Earth, and now it's had a slight resurgence now.
Yeah.
Because people
Because of anti-vaxxers.
Anti-vaxxers, but just the fact that people, because there was no polio out there, because there was no kids getting it, and the fear of your kid getting it, they forgot to get their kids a polio shot.
Yeah.
And so it slowly started creeping back here and there, and they had to go back out and start these campaigns to get people to get their kids vaccinated. These anti-vaxxers should be fucking shot. Okay?
Absolutely.
I mean, who's that horrible gal? What's her name?
Jenny McCarthy.
Jenny McCarthy. She's got a show on Sirius XM. They actually pay this cunt to be on their on Sirius XM, and they get rid of me.
You sound biased to Sirius XM.
Huh?
You sound biased about Sirius
Well,
XM.
no, in this particular case, absolutely.
I used to think she was hot until I found out about the anti-vax.
Well, then she became an anti-vaxxer, and a lot of people didn't have their kids vaccinated because of her. She has no doctor degree, nothing, and she may have been responsible for the deaths of many, many kids simply through her anti-vaxxing message.
Trump did that with adults.
Yes, he did it with adults. Yes.
Sounds like Charlie was interested in giving her a vaccine of his own, if you know what I mean.
Yeah.
An injection, yeah.
Yes. Would you like an injection? No, I don't take
still.
them. Especially from black,
Did
especially
anybody
from
see
black
in the news?
people. What?
Did anybody see in the news that 40% of the U.S. military is refusing to get the vaccine?
Yeah, I saw.
Yes.
Oh, geez.
I thought you're government property, and they tell you to get it.
How much of this, though, I wonder about this, how much of this is people's fear of getting a needle stuck in their arm?
Oh, come on.
I'm serious.
I mean, a few people maybe.
I know a couple.
Yeah, I know some people.
Hey,
I got scheduled for Friday for my first shot.
Oh,
Yay.
really? Oh, great.
turn it down, John. They're going to give you the Johnson & Johnson.
Yeah, I don't care. I'll take it, whatever.
Johnson in your Johnson.
Yeah,
right.
but they, I think that there are people who are afraid of getting a needle in their arm.
Not 40% of the military, though.
Well,
Yeah.
you don't know about that. you know?
I don't know, but I'm sure it's. I don't know.
I'd love to
thought-
know I'd love to know their reasons. Did you put your hand up, Jeff?
Yeah. My wife was talking to a bunch of her friends from college today.
Mm-hmm.
And, they're all talking about what they do this and blah, 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 and who's taking the shot. And this one of them says, "Oh, I'm not taking it." I said, "Why? Are you crazy?" She goes, "Oh, well, I don't think it actually works right. And I think there's diseases you can get because of it."
There are how many millions of people who have taken it now? Maybe 34 million Americans or something like that who have taken these vaccines.
We're all fucked.
And I guess we all, but how many of us have gotten terrible diseases as a result of it? Zero. Zilcho. So I'm sorry, tell your friend, we've been the rats, okay? We've been the test subjects. Go get your goddamn shot.
They didn't just develop the mRNA vaccine last year. They've been working with this for decades.
Yeah.
They've just never been able to put it in.
And by the way, it's
production.
a non-vaccine, if we're really going to tell the truth
Yeah.
about it. A vaccine usually indicates that they take some of the bug that you're trying to eradicate and they put it in you and then you grow antibodies. This doesn't
doing
do
it a different
anything
way.
like that.
They're
Doesn't
doing it a different way. What they don't know about mRNA vaccine, because they haven't really used it like this, is what's going to happen 5-10 years down the road. It may cause cancer. Who knows? They don't know. But for right now, it saves lives.
Yeah.
Well, I don't think they're going to be any big.
Okay.
big whoops on that. I'll tell you the trouble with the Johnson & Johnson is it's not an mRNA. It is a true vaccine. There is...
So is AstraZeneca.
And somebody said to me, well, I think a friend of Shecky said he wasn't going to get it because he can't get the Johnson & Johnson, and he wants the Johnson & Johnson.
He said that on
and he's a
Monday
right
show.
winger. He's a right winger, okay? And I said, just tell your friend, do you know what's in the Johnson & Johnson? Stem cells from babies, okay?
Grown in eggs.
What?
All vaccines, most vaccines are grown in eggs. If you have an egg allergy,
Yeah. This is different. This is a whole new kind of technology. This is actually born out of our wonderful ability at technology. So,
right.
Have you gotten yours yet? I keep asking you that, Trucker Steve. Have you gotten it yet? No. Why?
Nobody
Why
in
haven't you?
Canada
Why
has.
haven't you gotten it yet?
Because they're not doing my age yet.
Really? How old are you?
45.
45. Gee, they're doing it. I think newborn babies are getting it down here because Cuomo doesn't want you to forget about all those women. You know.
Right.
So.
He needs people to vote for him.
Well, what was it? What was it they said? You know that he's up the
California's opening
because
it to
because
everybody.
they said one more woman accuses him of something.
I've been on the
and
website.
What?
I've been on the website for London, Middlesex County, and there's nothing about even truck drivers getting it,
Yeah.
getting a shot.
Yeah. Wow.
I've read through the website.
A lot of Canadians are not getting it. Biden said he will donate 10 million or 50 million to Canada, 50 million to Mexico, because they can't get it,
Yeah.
of our surplus. I think that's great, because we're not going to cure everybody here and it's going to go away. It's got to be a worldwide event.
Right.
For the first time, Austin had 10,000 vaccine appointments that went unfilled last week.
Wow.
First time they've ever had.
You should have gone back again.
What did I read? Something newly insane about your governor? Something that he said?
Oh,
What was it?
Everything's insane about him.
Didn't he say there was something I saw that was insane that he
What?
came up with? I can't remember what it was now. But it just, it said Texas governor, and then it said some insane thing, and I went par for the course.
Yeah.
That guy is nuts. Oh, yes, I know what it was. He now claims Texas has hit herd immunity.
Yeah, good luck with that.
Dr. Texas governor has announced that you have herd immunity now down in
With
Texas.
less than 25% of the people having either gotten COVID or vaccines.
Yeah.
Less than 25%.
Isn't that wonderful?
Oh, he's not very good in mathematics.
Yeah, he's not very good at much anything else either, Well, there's our lovely and attractive theme song hitting. Yes, John, did you want to say something?
I was just saying bye.
Oh. Well, don't say goodbye yet. I have to say goodbye to everybody. Scott, thanks for being here. Good luck with your syphilis.
Thank you.
Now, you see, if nobody was listening before, they don't know. They think you have syphilis now. See?
I can get the medicine quick.
Yeah. Al, thank you, Alan. We appreciate it. And I appreciate the dude wipes, too.
You're welcome.
They work nicely, too. They have aloe and everything.
There you go.
Yeah. Of course, Charlie Wallace. Thank you, Charlie. Trucker Steve, always nice to have you here. Jeff, nice to have you on board, as well as John Larkin and the ever-popular Robert. Thank you for being with us tonight. Everybody, give a big wave goodbye, and I'll wave back at you here, okay? And then I will slowly go to my camera, okay? And then I will hang up on all of you unceremoniously. Okay, there they go. That's our citizen panel for tonight, ladies and gentlemen. There'll be another one assembled tomorrow night, along about this time, 10:30 Eastern Daylight Time. By the way, Jack Bishop is next. He's here with the Intersection, and he'll be using Skype with the address Gabnet Live, GABNET LIVE, all one word. You just put that into your Skype, and it will call that number, and there will be Jack and all his friends, okay? We'll see you again tomorrow night, same time, same station in life. In the meantime, as always, if you see her, tell her I love her. And by the way, whatever you do, wear a mask and be safe out there. We still got COVID. Okay? Bye.